Have you ever looked up at the night sky, seen all those tiny twinkling lights? Imagine if one of those lights wasn't a star. Imagine it was a new home, waiting for you. That's the big idea behind a generation ship. It's a giant vessel, a city floating through space. It's built for a journey so long that the people who start it won't be the ones who finish it. Earth, our first home, might have faced big problems. Maybe it got too crowded, or the climate changed. So, humanity decided to reach for a new beginning. This isn't a quick trip. This journey takes hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. The ship has to be more than just a ride. It has to be a home. It needs everything we have on Earth, but packed into one incredible self-sustaining world. Waking up on a generation ship wouldn't be to the sound of birds chirping. It'd be to the soft, steady hum of the life support systems. You'd stretch, maybe float for a second in the low-gravity sleeping quarters, and get ready for the day. Your home isn't a house with a yard. It's a compact living pod designed to be efficient and comfortable. Everyone has a job, a purpose. Maybe you're part of the hydroponics team, tending to the crops that feed thousands. Or perhaps you're an engineering apprentice, learning how the ship's massive engines work. Even kids have chores, like helping with recycling or monitoring the ship's smaller ecosystems. After your work shift, there's time for yourself. You might head to the recreation dome with a giant screen that projects images of Earth's skies. Exercise is super important in space to keep your bones and muscles strong. It's not just for fun, it's critical for staying healthy. Or maybe you'd just find a quiet observation deck, look out at the endless river of stars, and wonder. Life on a generation ship means your entire world is the ship itself. It's not just a vehicle, it's your country, your city, and your neighborhood all rolled into one. The ship would be designed with different sections or biomes. One area might be the agricultural hub, filled with massive farms, forests of genetically engineered trees, and even lakes. We'd walk through these artificial forests, breathing in the clean air and remembering the stories of Earth's wilderness. The living quarters would be another key area. People would live in residential sectors, built like vertical villages. Your apartment might be small, but it would be smart, with walls that could change color or display different scenes. Common areas would be essential for building community. Picture large open plazas where people could gather, with cafes, markets, and performance stages. Then there would be the industrial and engineering decks. Massive fusion reactors would power our world, humming with unimaginable energy. Recycling plants would take every scrap of waste and turn it into something new, because on a generation ship, nothing is ever thrown away. The bridge would be the brain of the ship, where the captain and crew monitor our course through the stars, watching for dangers like asteroid fields or radiation bursts. In a closed world like a generation ship, relationships would be everything. You'd grow up with the same group of people your entire life. Your family wouldn't just be your parents and siblings, it would be the entire ship's population. We'd all be in this together, a single tribe on a singular quest. Elders would be deeply respected, not just for their wisdom, but as living links to the ship's history. They would be the storytellers, the keepers of memories. Celebrations would be a big deal, a way to break the monotony of the long journey. We would create our own holidays like Crossing Day or First Bloom. Imagine a festival of lights in the main plaza with bioluminescent decorations and projections of swirling nebulas on the walls. These moments would bring everyone together, reinforcing our shared identity and purpose. Of course, living so close to everyone else would have its challenges. The ship would need clear systems for resolving conflicts peacefully, but ultimately the need for cooperation would outweigh everything else. Our survival depends on it. The person you argue with today might be the one you need tomorrow. For those of us born on the ship, Earth would be a myth, a legend. It would be a place we've only ever seen in pictures and videos. We would study its incredible diversity of life, its vast blue oceans, and its sprawling green continents, trying to imagine what it must have felt like to experience them for real. Earth would be our Genesis story, the beautiful distant cradle of our species. It would be a source of endless fascination and, honestly, a little bit of sadness. The ship's culture would be filled with echoes of Earth. The names of the ship's decks might be taken from Earth's continents, like the Africa Habitation Ring or the Asia Agri Dome. The food we eat, though grown in labs, would be based on recipes from countless different terrestrial cultures. We would be a living museum of Earth's heritage, preserving its memory as we travel farther and farther away from it. But we would also be something new. We would be the first true children of space. While we would honor the memory of Earth, our reality would be the ship. We wouldn't have national identities like Australian or Japanese. Our identity would be Starfarer or Voyager. We have the entire universe as our backyard. On a generation ship, rules aren't just about keeping order. They're about keeping everyone alive. One mistake, one broken rule, could lead to disaster for everyone. Unauthorized access to critical areas like engineering, life support, or the bridge would be strictly forbidden. Everyone would go through regular safety drills, practicing what to do in case of emergencies. We'd learn these procedures from childhood. Resource management would be governed by strict regulations. Every drop of water, every watt of energy, and every gram of food would be precious. The 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, wouldn't just be a slogan. They would be the unshakable law of our existence. Everything would be repurposed. Wastefulness would be seen as one of the worst possible offenses, a crime against the entire community. Jobs wouldn't be just a way to earn a living. They would be assigned based on the ship's needs and an individual's aptitude. You might not get to choose your career path. Justice would have to be swift and fair. There would be no prisons. Instead, punishments might involve loss of privileges, extra work duties, or mandatory counseling. For the most serious crimes, the ultimate punishment might be exile, though what that would mean in the middle of space is a chilling thought. Education on a generation ship would be critical. It wouldn't just be about reading, writing, and math. It would be about survival. Every child would learn basic engineering, first aid, and hydroponics. Our science classes wouldn't just be from textbooks. We'd be studying real-time data from the ship's sensors, learning about astrophysics by observing the universe outside our windows. Learning wouldn't be confined to a classroom. The entire ship would be our school, with apprenticeships and mentorships being key to our development. The curriculum would blend old and new. We would study Earth's history, art, literature, and philosophies, maintaining our connection to human heritage. But we would spend just as much time learning about the future. Our lessons would be filled with simulations of the planet we are heading towards, studying its atmosphere, geology, and potential biology. Teachers would use incredible technology. Imagine walking through a holographic ancient Earth city, or dissecting a virtual alien creature based on probe data. The goal would be to create a generation of pioneers. We would be trained to be adaptable, resourceful, and brilliant problem solvers. The ship's archives would contain all of humanity's knowledge. Our education would teach us how to access and apply that knowledge to new, unforeseen problems. When we finally arrive at our destination, we will be responsible for building a new world from scratch. Our final exam would be the founding of a new branch of civilization. Even though our lives are spent in transit, our minds would be focused on the destination. The new planet wouldn't just be a dot on a star chart, it would be our promised land. We would grow up listening to stories about it, imagining what it would be like. Would the sky be blue like Earth's, or a different color? Would the plants be green or maybe red or purple? This hope for the future, this dream of arrival, would be the fuel that powers our society through the long, dark years of the journey. We wouldn't be people who live in the moment. We would be people who live for the next generation. Every task would be done knowing we are doing it for those who will come after us. We are a bridge between the past, our ancestors on Earth, and the future, our descendants on the new world. This responsibility would be heavy, but also a source of immense pride. Of course, there would be challenges. What if the planet isn't what we expected? The fear of failure would always be there, but the dreams would be stronger than the fears. We would dream of stepping out of the ship for the first time, of feeling real gravity and breathing unfiltered air. We would dream of building the first houses, planting the first fields. The final generation, the one that will actually make landfall, would be treated with special reverence. They would be the culmination of our entire journey. And for those of us who live and die on the ship, our comfort would be in knowing that our lives, spent entirely between the stars, made that incredible future possible. In the end, Living on a generation ship would fundamentally change what it means to be human. We would be a new kind of people, shaped by a unique environment. We would have a cosmic perspective. We would understand how big the universe is and how precious a small pocket of life truly is. We would be the starborn, a people whose entire history is written in the logbooks of a single vessel. We would be defined by our journey, our resilience, and our unwavering hope. So would you survive? Maybe the better question is, what kind of person would you become? You would become part of something monumental, a link in a chain stretching across centuries and light years. You would never see a sunrise over an ocean, but you would see galaxies bloom outside your window. Your world would be small and contained, but your perspective would be infinite. You would be a child of the ship, a citizen of the stars, and a pioneer of worlds to come.